The image map panel allows you to configure and place nodes and links between those nodes within a dashboard panel, and each node or link can be configured to report a monitored metric or hardware state. The panel also supports the use of an image background on which the nodes and links can be arranged. This could be an office floor plan, campus layout, or network topology. I'm going to run through two examples, one using a background image, adding nodes to provide text and value labels, and another using nodes and links between nodes to produce a basic office network overview. Let's look at using image backgrounds. I'll add an image map panel. In the toolbar we see here, we have the zoom options, buttons to place both nodes and links, an edit mode used to move and configure the nodes and links, and a delete tool. These editing options are only visible to dashboard editors and admins. Viewers will have access to the zoom options, but nothing else. We could begin by defining our queries to specify the data to be displayed, but I'm going to start by dropping in my background image, so off to the Image Map tab. Our options to apply an image background allow for an online resource, just drop in the URL, or a local image uploaded to your Statseeker server. If we have a look at the uploaded images, we can see the images that I've previously uploaded, images that have been uploaded by other editors, and which of those images are shared. Dashboard editors can only access the images that they themselves upload and those which others have uploaded and have been shared. As an admin user, I can see and use all uploaded images, and I've got the ability to mark an image as shared for use by other editors. Under View Settings, the Auto Fit will automatically zoom the panel in and out to fit the background image or the nodes which have been placed within the panel, and we can enable the panel controls and mouse wheel zoom. We also have global settings for node and link presentation, and I'll look at the legend in our second example. You can add links and nodes to the panel while in panel edit mode, but you may want to return to the panel view to do this for greater screen real estate. I used the link mode to add a couple of markers to highlight the switches in the rack, node mode to add some nodes, and switch to node edit mode to position everything. Now, to get data into the panel, I need to configure my queries. So panel edit mode and the metrics tab. Add a query for ping state. Now I don't want this panel requesting data for every device, so I filter to just the switches in this rack. Same again for CPU. And here I'm aggregating the values for all CPUs on a device. And same again for temperature. If I refresh the panel, you can see here on the top left an error alert stating that I need to assign labels in my queries in order to identify the returned values. The obvious label in my instance is the device name, so I add the labels, refresh, and the queries have passed validation. I select the edit mode and then one of my nodes. This moves me to the Image Map tab and brings up the configuration block for the node that I've just selected. I select the query that I want to use, the entity I want data for, or we can see that there are 4 switches that match the filter I specified in the query. Field, and I'll add a prefix of device. So we have the device name and the ping state. I can adjust the background and whether or not to display the node name and value. I can also override the global text size. The global values are up the top here. Now, colouring rules. The available options are determined by the data type. Mine is set to string, so I have regex and value map. I'll use the value map to convert my values to uppercase and apply a background colour to indicate the device state. I can also apply drill down links triggered when the node is clicked and send the user off to another dashboard, a focused view of a single panel on a dashboard, or a report. I'll configure links in the next example, but there's a separate video which walks through the options when configuring links, as some of the options will vary between panels. Same again for my CPU node. And you can see here I've turned off the device name. I know which device it is from the node above. And I have set value ranges as the colouring for my CPU load. Our raw metric values will have a number of decimal places, so be sure to make the value ranges overlap to capture everything. Same again for temperature. And I'll repeat the process for the other switch. Once I'm done, I'll hide the editing controls and save the panel. Okay, let's have a look at some other configuration options in our second example. I want to produce a basic office layout, just presenting the primary infrastructure. I have 4 queries configured: ping state, current ping RTT, current CPU load, and interface utilization. All the queries feature a group filter, restricting the results to just a single satellite office in London. Let's head to the image map tab. So add a node, select the query. Query A was our ping state, and select the entity, the London router. I'll configure colouring rules like we did in the previous example. In the appearance section, I'm going to change from a text node to an icon and select the generic router. With the node set to icon, we now also have a label and a separate label configuration block, label position, default colours. I can add additional colouring rules for the label if I want, or toggle the display of the entity name or value. I can also assign a drill down to the node. I'm going to set the drill down type to dashboard and select the device overview dashboard. Now, this dashboard has a device variable that you can set to focus the dashboard content to a specific device. The syntax we use is var dash, the name of the variable in the destination dashboard, equals, and the value I want to pass through. I can hard code the value, so London router, but I can also use a reference. The details for that are in the mouse over. I need to pass through the device name, so I'll use the label reference. The label will reference the value in the name field, and if that's blank, it'll fall back to the entity field. So with this, we have a parameter of var device equals London router. I'll also use that same reference in the tooltip, so when you mouse over the node, it tells you exactly where you're going, the London router overview. Now, the reason I use the reference rather than a static value is that I'm going to add a bunch of ping state nodes, just like this one. So rather than go through this entire configuration for each node, I'm just going to duplicate this configuration, and I can do that from the configuration block or from the edit tool in the panel. The edit tool is a good option because after duplication, I still need to reposition, update the entity, and the icon. And repeat for other devices. Same process for our ping RTT nodes, and then again for our CPU nodes. Now, for our links, I'm going to use the links between the nodes to represent the interfaces linking those nodes, displaying inbound and outbound utilization rates from the downstream interface. Select the link tool. Now this highlights the attachment points, and I can start linking my nodes. When adding links, you can click anywhere to start. It doesn't need to be an attachment point. Clicking again will add a vertex, allowing you to continue the line. And if I click on an attachment point or an existing vertex, it will terminate the line. Line termination can also be achieved with the Finish button, and the Cancel button will undo the current line entirely. Attachment points can take any number of lines, and if I switch to edit mode and move the nodes, the link attachments are maintained as I go. You'll notice in edit mode that each line segment has a handle at every vertex and another at the midpoint between any two vertices. You can repath your links by dragging any one of these handles. Left-clicking a midpoint handle will convert it to a vertex, adding additional handles at the two new midpoints. Right-clicking a vertex will delete it, simplifying your line. Link configuration is very similar to node configuration. Select my link, set the query, entity, and field. Okay, the appearance section. Solid or dash lines. Default color. I'll be using some coloring rules, so I'll leave this one alone. Line weight override. Again, global settings are at the top. Arrowheads. Start and end are relative to the order in which the vertices were added when building the link. And colouring rules and drill down options. Now, the label. I'll come back to mode. Label position is a percentage relative to the link origin, so 50 is midway, 0 is the origin. Think of the X and Y offsets as CSS positioning, not XY axes on a graph. Negative values are up and to the left relative to the link position, and positive are down and to the right. Background and text colors, entity and field display. Now, the label mode is referencing the orientation of the label. With a static label, as I alter the path of the link, the label position adjusts in line with my settings, but the orientation is static. I'll just reset the link and switch the mode to follow. We still have our label position, and the offset value functions as our Y offset. With the mode set to follow, as I adjust the link, the label follows the link, wrapping around corners. So my link is configured. I just need to duplicate and then update the entity, field, and label position as needed for each link. And the last item for our panel is the legend. Up in our global settings, we can enable the legend. I now have separate configuration options for the nodes and links. The legend is displayed as soon as I add some content, and it's simply a color and text pair. Since I have 3 node configurations, I'll make subheadings using just a transparent color. So entries for device state, ping RTT, and CPU load. And same again for our link utilization, and just click and drag to position that legend. And that's a look at the image map panel.